Hi, I'm Amy. I go to London South Bank. I studied at Bournemouth for my first 2 years and I study events management and I'm in my final year. I'm from Bromley in South London. Events wasn't originally what I wanted to get into. I wanted to do languages. I had quite a hard time in A-level and I realised I probably wasn't going to get the grades to get to a good university for languages. So I started to look at a more vocational degree and one of my friends said I should do events. What is organising everything? So I looked at Bournemouth because I thought it's by the sea and they actually have a languages model in their final year for events. So that was really what appealed to me. I really enjoyed both degrees. It's a different experience for both of them, but I think there's really interesting modules at Bournemouth and LSBU. At Bournemouth, it was more, I would say it was pretty much 50-50 marketing and events, which I didn't think I would enjoy, but I actually think it's given me a lot more knowledge than just a straight up events degree. I did politics, Spanish, history and film.
Did any of these subjects help you with your course?
No. If you were gonna, I don't think it decreased, I don't think it was any harder, but if you were wanting to do events, I would say do business or finance. And I think actually sociology and psychology is quite helpful.
Okay. Would you say those are the best subjects / A-levels for the course?
Yeah, I'd say so. For me, the communication between the staff and students was probably the worst thing about it for me. I had in my second year a lecturer, unfortunately fell ill in September and they didn't replace him. So we had to self-teach an entire module, and the module was an exam which was 100% of the module. So for us, if we failed that, then we failed the year, which was obviously really quite daunting and it was really stressful for everyone. And the other problem I had, and quite a few people had, there was some missed marking. I actually got a piece of work back which was, I think it was 42. It was really close to being a fail and I was really shocked. So I contacted the lecturer and I said, can we have some feedback about what went wrong? Because obviously I didn't want it to happen again. And then when I went through it, I found that I'd actually got 60, which is the 2-1. So it's quite a big jump. So that I just sort of think about it. If I didn't bother going and finding out what was wrong, I could have ended up with that and that would have really brought my grade down.
Okay.
I think the extracurricular activities are really good. I did the Global Talent Programme, which was, I think it was really good and I think it looks great on your CV. It's really interesting and they have a lot of extra facilities that other universities don't have. Like they do have in the library, there's a language learning area which offers so many different languages that can really help you. There's loads of societies.
So
honestly, I mean, I've only been here for a term, so, I haven't really, and it's been in the pandemic, so it's been a bit of a strange term, but I don't know, it's been okay, to be honest. I mean, because it has been all online, well, pretty much all online, it has been a bit disjointed and there has been some, again, communication issues. And I think it does seem sort of like a lack of teaching where compared to when you're in uni, you have like so many hours in uni a week, whether online, I do feel like I am getting less teaching time.
Okay, so would you say this happened, did Bournemouth try online also?
Yeah.
So it's more of the online factor less than the uni?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I've only experienced this in my term during the pandemic, so I don't think it's something you'd face normally.
And the best things about London South Bank?
I really like the staff. I think they're really friendly. There's a lot less, so I feel like it's more personal and I feel like they actually know my name and who I am and what I'm interested in. Well, I didn't really get that at Bournemouth. I lived in Dorchester House.
And what was it like living in Dorchester?
It was the best value for money at the time. It was, well, nearly 3 years ago, so I know there's some new ones now. I'm not gonna lie, there was some problems. There was silverfish infestations. They're bugs. Which it wasn't great, and it was through everything, and sometimes they're really tiny so you wouldn't really notice them, but as soon as you knew they were there you'd just sort of see them along the floor all the time. It wasn't great, but
what kind of vibe is Dorchester House?
It was good. I mean, you get a nice double bed, it's pretty clean, it's one of the more modern ones. I mean, Home Park is really nice, but it's so expensive. I couldn't. So this was like the nicest option, I was going to get. You get an ensuite, which I was desperate for, and yeah, a double bed, which is not for all the accommodation in Bournemouth. So
is Dorchester House more of a party or a chill?
yeah, I think it is kind of on the party side. Yeah, it's definitely not a quiet halls if you're looking for that. That's not, but it is sort of a bit outside of the, not outside, it's across the roundabout from the centre. So where like the other ones are like literally near Cameo, like the old fire station and like the clubs. It is a little bit away, so it can be quieter, but the train line goes right next to it, and it's also on the path to the hospital, so it's quite loud just generally.
Okay. And where did you live in your second year?
I lived in student housing with my friend.
What was it like going from Dorchester to student housing?
It was really nice, to be honest. I think it's great being able to live with your friends, because in first year you're sort of just stuck with whoever, and I didn't particularly get on with my flatmates. Didn't have any problems. We just weren't best friends. So it was really nice to be able to choose who you get to live with. I'm at home, which is nice because it's cheap. I don't have to pay rent. It's only half an hour commute to the uni. And yeah, it's just a lot cheaper. I know from other people that their accommodation is quite expensive, so most people do just rent with their friends. It was so good. I mean, that was one of the main draws. I knew Bournemouth was a bit of a party town.
So what was the club for you?
Cameo.
Cameo
Yeah.
Wednesdays, I hear.
Yeah, yeah.
Cameo.
I mean, there's like a lot of slug and lettuces. There's probably about 3 pretty good clubs. And I think it's the perfect uni town to be honest. In the summer, you've got the beach, everyone goes down there. There's a Ruba on the pier where you get 2-for-1 cocktails as a student. So I loved it. There's a lot of chain shops.
What was the shop for you?
Well, for like shopping, like food shopping. There's an Asda, which was our go-to because it's in walking distance from pretty much every student accommodation in first year. But there are some local restaurants which are definitely worth visiting. Little Asia, shout out, would recommend going there.
What would you get from Little Asia?
The beef and black bean, so good. I really miss it. But there are a lot of chain restaurants too. But, I mean, Ministry of Sound is literally around the corner from the campus, so it's also great. Like probably one of the biggest clubs in London. It's really good. I haven't been able to experience the full nightlife, but I've been there before. So.
And if we go into the shops,
there's a couple of like local restaurants, but the shops are pretty much big chain shops that you'd find everywhere else. There's a Tesco like across the road. So my favourite is a little market. It's literally like around the corner from the uni. It's called Mercato Metropolitano. It's like has loads of different food stalls inside.
And what would you get? What's your dish?
The pizza is great. It's proper Italian stone-baked pizza, but there's so much to choose from. Do your research. Don't completely sack off first year because it doesn't count, because if you do that in second year, you'll be completely lost. You need the right balance of studying and going out. I'd volunteer as much as you can if you're doing events particularly. And if you're at Bournemouth, I would recommend doing the Global Talent Programme. Global Talent Programme, as I said, just I would get involved as much as you can, get involved in the student union, join a society, try and engage with your flatmates as much as you can. I think particularly when I've been, obviously it's been pandemic time, but I think just try and make friends, even if you think, people, they've all got their own groups. Just, I've made friends by just going, I've noticed you're in my group. Do you want to like go out for lunch or something? And, they've actually been like, oh, I'm so glad that you asked me. Like I've been feeling really lonely. So I definitely just recommend reaching out. Definitely volunteering. I mean, you can just, even if there's not a position going, just contacting a company that you want to work for and saying, I want to do this type of events. Can I volunteer at your next event? They will probably say yes. For me, I don't know that there's that many apprenticeships for events, but I do know for other courses, if you're doing like accounting, I definitely look into that avenue because I did think of doing that for a while. And I do know people that have done apprenticeships and they're sort of already settled into careers by now. So it's definitely a route I would look into. So
it's more of like a not much choice for your course.
Yeah, for my particular area, but other areas I definitely do your research and have a look. Basically, I at Bournemouth, when I went, it was mandatory that you do a placement year. And I did get a placement. It was my like dream placement. It was doing Formula One events. I love motorsport. So I was so happy. But unfortunately, COVID happened and it just all fell through. But Bournemouth still didn't change their stance on the mandatory placements. I didn't want to settle and do a mediocre one or just waste a year. So I just said, you can find my LinkedIn at Amy Durham. I would definitely recommend both of the unis that I went to, although I unfortunately didn't have a great experience because of coronavirus. It doesn't mean that you can't. And especially if you're doing a different course, your experience could be completely different to mine. So I'd definitely give them both a chance.